I don't tear up at like where somebody's hurt. I tear up when somebody's badass. Most people would have quit.
You get to the point where you're just like, why didn't I die? Like, I have no hands, I have no, feet. Like, how is this at all better? I live life every day realizing that it could be worse. And when people say, like, Travis, why do you do all this stuff? Why? I'm like, because I can. Because I get the ability to.
Welcome to the Hard Way podcast with Joe DeSena, founder and CEO of Spartan Races. We're teaching you how to overcome your obstacles in your life the same way we teach our 10 million plus Spartans to overcome obstacles on the course, with insight from the smartest, most accomplished experts from every corner of the world. Get ready to elevate your life today.
Joe DeSena, CEO and founder of Spartan and host of the Hard Way podcast. I got a special one for you today. I got my buddy Travis Mills. He's an author. He's a motivational speaker. He's a founder of a 501(c) that's doing great things. He's a family man. This guy is the ultimate when it comes to resilience, perseverance. I don't know if you coined the term bounce back, but you certainly would be in the dictionary. As I could see them having a photo of you around the term bounce back. That was the name of your second book?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. And, I've done some pretty cool things, but so have you. So if I fire questions back at you, I apologize. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but sometimes I just got to know things.
You tell us, let's go back in time. Where'd you grow up?
So I'm from Michigan. Grew up in a small town called Vassar, Friday Night Lights kind of town. Played football, basketball, baseball, all the things. Have a wonderful family. My mom and dad had me in the middle because I have an older sister, younger brother. Grew up Midwest kid, just loving Michigan football and the Detroit Lions. Finally, they're a good team this year. But I don't get my hopes so high. But I'm just thinking, finally, we have something to go off from. That's what I did growing up. Played sports like everybody else. Went to school, had a good time, very social, and decided that I wanted to play college football over baseball. And I went to a small community college, realized that as much as I love football, I don't like college. And I had to find something better that would suit me. And it happened to be the United States Army, so I joined the military. After a semester and a half of college, realizing it just wasn't the route I was going to take. It was a good time. I was there at basic training, and then I went to airborne school that made it to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. After about 6 months of train up, we were in Afghanistan for a 15-month deployment. But really cool first assignment. And we went around, did a lot of government work, and I did a lot of security, like guidons, and just had a good time with it.
How long were you in Afghanistan? You said 18 months?
So 15 months on that one. And then we came back. I got married. I had about 18 months home. And it was a really good time. A lot of fun. But then we had to go back to Afghanistan a second time. I did. And I left for a year. And I went overseas as a sergeant. I was put in a squad leader job, which is really awesome. We deployed over to, the first time was over to the eastern side of Afghanistan. This time was out west. And they just kind of flew us around for a little bit because we first did a detachment at the base, and then we flew out from the base to this place for Bat Sanghi. That was a year-long deployment. That deployment was a little bit different. I didn't work for a colonel. I wasn't, going out on patrols with the governor of Providence and then coming back and working out. I lived in the middle of nowhere. And then towards the end of that deployment, I went ahead and re-enlisted. The military was just a calling that I enjoyed. I was good at it. I liked it. The camaraderie, the teamwork, the serving, your country, but that the person you left and right had your back. Like they had your back and that you would die for them and they would die for you. And loved everything, really about it. My time home after this deployment was really good. We were planning for having our daughter and all the nesting and all that. And then 9 months later, she was born in Womack Hospital there at Fort Bragg. So even though I live in Maine, she's a North Carolinian. She's a Southern girl, she tells people. We got back from that deployment, got the house. Then we had Chloe. I got promoted to staff sergeant. And then I was put in charge of a weapons squad, which was supposed to be the senior E6 position. And they put me in charge of it, which, had a lot of faith because I had two guys that had more rank and more time in, but I became kind of their boss. So at 24 years old, I had a lot of responsibility, but I also had these guys that served with me and did everything they could. My wonderful, wife and I decided I was going to deploy, that my guys needed me. They come from all across the nation, believe me, and the brotherhood is real in the calling. So we decided we're going to go. I said goodbye to my family in late February. It was really weird. I showed up to work that morning, and my first sergeant was like, "Hey, we need you to deploy tonight." And I'm like, "I'm supposed to deploy tomorrow." And he goes, "Yeah, I know, I get that. I'm sorry, but we need you to go tonight. We got our stuff bumped up, and I need you to take these guys and blah, 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 And I deployed for my my third time. Even though I was in a lot of firefights, my second deployment, or, taking compounds and stuff like that, my third deployment was the Wild West. It was the worst I'd ever been in. And we got there the first day, went out on patrol, and the Taliban, we were in the area where they were a stronghold. They didn't like us. I was in charge of the guns, so everybody took a knee, and I didn't take a knee or get down to prone. I had to walk back and forth to the left and right limit. I had two 240 Bravo machine guns that were supposed to keep their heads down. And during that firefight, one of the guys tore his ACL and MCL real bad, so I couldn't really walk out of there. I thought he got shot, but he didn't, luckily. And I didn't want to take 8 guys off of a firing line. And I said, no, don't worry about it. I got it. So I said, here, hold this. I threw my M4, so it wasn't holding me down. And I ran down into this dry riverbed, and I put Sergeant Butler on my back like a fireman carry. And I ran out, back up the dry riverbed, got everybody out of the middle of that wadi. As we were shooting back and forth to the Taliban, I took them behind the building, set them down. I sat down to get a drink of water. I was like out of breath. I was like, I need this drink of water. Holy crap, that's like a football field and a half. I just ran with a guy on my back. By the time I got my water out of the pouch, my first sergeant was yelling for me. I was like, oh, crap. So I took a quick swing, put it back, ran to the front. He said, hey, we're going to exfil out. We need to pop smoke for the Kiowa helicopters. So I was shooting. He was popping the purple smoke grenades for the Kiowa helicopters to come out of the station. And as soon as we popped smoke, we stretcher carried Butler back to the tent. And, that was first day. Second day we went out, same thing happened. Another big firefight. We started controlling the space a little bit. They didn't like that. It was like the Wild West, which is crazy because it was if you watch the news and the media, you think the fight was all over. But when you watch, when we went over there, it was like, wow, this is the most intense fighting that I had seen in my 3 deployments.
I love that story. So then what?
My guys, my weapons team was really lighting up the Taliban. Our machine guns were rocking. They started to try to booby trap where we were going to set our guns up. The rules of engagement were so terrible that we could watch them on the raid camera. We had a camera that would reach out and see up to some crazy amount of kilometers, dig holes in the ground and put bombs. But because the rules of engagement from the administration at the time, they dictated we couldn't go out at nighttime. We couldn't shoot them unless they were shooting at us. But as soon as they put their weapon down, they were no longer combatant. So helicopters would come. They'd see the AK-47 sitting next to these guys, but they couldn't shoot them. We went on patrol on April 10th of 2012. We had a phone call from Village Elder, which is pretty typical, asked for some help in the village. We said, yeah, no problem. We went out, and we always had one guy in front of us with a minesweeper. It was a really weird way that we patrolled. It wasn't what we were taught. And it was like, this is how you have to do it this area, because there's so many bombs in the ground. And they were just like, they were put whatever they wanted at nighttime, and it was awful. But we had a guy in the front that would sweep the ground with the minesweeper. They had GPR, ground penetrating radiation. So it would mark if the ground was messed up. And if anything alarmed us that was messed up a little bit, you would just circle it with shaving cream and then walk around it. Whenever you got shot at, you'd all be in a line, spaced out. So you were supposed to take a knee. And they told you, do not duck for cover, because if they're shooting at you, that means you're most likely close to one of their bombs, and they want you to dive into it. So can you imagine getting shot and your reaction usually is to get down and dive for cover, but you're supposed to just take a knee and see where it's coming? Everything has a standard operating procedure in the military. Everything's planned out. Well, my backpack, I would have to line the belt-fed machine gun rounds. We'd have one end coming out of the bottom of the bag on the right and one end out of the top on the left, and you would layer them back and forth on top of each other. And then that way, if we got in a big firefight, you would click the rounds to each backpack, and the gun would have their backpack. You click to their next backpack, so they could just rip all those rounds if they had to. It was that day that I took my backpack off and I set it on the ground, and when it hit the ground, it landed on top of a bomb. There's actually 13 IEDs in a row that they were just so well hidden that it didn't matter what we did with the GPR. So my bag hit a bomb. I was looking off to the left, so it hit a bomb. And when my bag set the bomb off, it tore my right arm and right leg off instantly, and they disintegrated. They never found those pieces of me. And I got thrown on the left side of my back, or the left side of my face. And when I landed on the left side of my face, I rolled over on my back and saw the aftermath. My right side being completely gone. My left leg was blown out really bad around the knee joint and broken. I had muscle and tendon holding it on, some skin. And then my left arm was blown out at the wrist really bad by someone using my thumb, index, and middle finger. So I saw what's going on with it. Seconds, my platoon sergeant and my medic were on my limbs and putting tourniquets as fast as they could. And I had 2 guys yelling out for the medic that got hit. But anyways, they were yelling for the medic. So I told Dan, my medic, I said, Dan, you're not going to save me. Go save my guys. You know what I mean? It's okay. Just go save my guys. And he ignored me and put tourniquets on me. And then my platoon sergeant, Sergeant Handbright, was trying to get on the other side. And I'm sitting on the ground saying, like, man, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to show my guys any weakness, right? I kept thinking about the movie Saving Private Ryan when that medic gets shot in the stomach and he, like, is bleeding out and he realizes it's fatal. And he begs for his life and begs for tomorrow. And I always told myself, like, no matter what, I'm not going to be that guy. Not that that's a problem, but that's just not how my guys are going to remember me. I radioed my lieutenant. I reached out my left hand. I still had, a couple of fingers that were working. And I called my lieutenant. I said, hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured. I need your medic with mine. And he sent over Alex, and Alex started to work on Brandon and Ryan. And then when he got them bandaged up, he came over, worked on me, and they had to get, like, they stopped the bleeding, right? They clamped it all off for the best they could. And they were trying to figure out how they were going to get IV into me. So they put a sternum IV in, and that was painful. The only pain I really felt, I guess I was in shock or something, but I was really calm. And they threw a sternum IV in me, and that's the only time I had any pain. And I was like, oh, what the, and it's because there was like a big needle that went through that cracked my sternum. And then they put me on a helicopter. When I was saying, like, on a helicopter, I told the medics, hey, guys, you did everything you could. So don't worry about it. Whatever happens, happens, but don't worry about it. So I couldn't really tell what's going on, but I was trying to, like, see, the guy that was drowning out in pain. And I was trying to get the helicopter medic to hear me. And I kept saying, hey, and he had a big old space helmet looking thing on. He couldn't hear anyway. Well, I took my arm out of the strap. It was dangling. I took it out and I swung it over my head, the motion for him to take his helmet off. Then I yelled at him, take your helmet off. I said, I'll give my guys water and tell them they're going to be okay. And he's like, I'll take care of him. Don't worry about it. And I shot one of the guys a wink that I could see, like, hey, it's going to be all right. And then those 2 flight medics that were on that flight, I apologized after, because I might have said some choice words, like, to get their attention. And then I apologized. Hey, I'm sorry. Well, they wrote my wife a really nice letter about, they couldn't believe that the state I was in, I was saying, take care of my guys. But really, I wanted to focus on anything else by myself at the time. And I keep trying to sit up, right? Like, I'm still like, no, this isn't real. Like, I get back to my guys. So I got to my elbow every time. I throw myself forward, and this nurse would push me down. And the third time she pushed me down, I yelled at her, hey, quit touching me, leave me alone. I got to get back to my guys. Like, stop it. What are you doing? And she was like, Sergeant Mills, I don't know how you're so awake right now, but you need to go to sleep. And she knocked me out. And when I started to fade out, everything changed in my mindset. I looked at that nurse. I said, my little girl, am I ever going to see her again? My daughter was only 6 months old. And I was like, am I going to see her again? Blah, blah, blah. And I was losing control of everything. And when she was pushing me down, I kept telling her, like, leave me alone. I get back to my guys. And then she's like, you need to go sleep. And then I saw her, like, push the fluids to the IV in my chest. And I was like, no. Like, I'm losing control of the situation. I'm no longer going to be conscious and awake. And, I might never wake up. And 9 doctors and 7 nurses worked on me. For 14 hours. 2 nurses took turns like they do on TV, pumping air on my lungs for 9 hours of that 14. And then they ran out of blood in the blood bank that day, so they had to actually give blood from their veins. And they had people rush to the doors of the hospital with A positive and universal blood that day to give it to me as quick as they could. But when it was all said and done, I was a triple amputee. And then 2 days after the 10th, they flew me to Bagram, and they cut my left hand off because the skin died around it. So now I'm a quadruple play with you. I got cool tricks, right? And 2 days after that, they flew us to Landstuhl, Germany. And when I say us, my brother-in-law got to ride along with me. So he got the phone call when I was in Kandahar. He said, hey, Travis got hit, probably going to die. Before you deploy, you fill out paperwork. It's the most morbid thing I ever had to do. I had to plan my funeral. Like, I had to plan it 3 times, but, where you buried at, what kind of music plays, da-da-da-da-da. The last question was, who escorts your body home? And every time I put Josh and he put me. And they called him and said, hey, you're probably going to die. We need you to fly in. I didn't die, but they let him fly with me anyways. And then they woke me up on the 14th on my birthday. And the only person in the room that finally came to was my brother-in-law. And he's the one that had to tell me I had no arms and legs. And I ignored everybody for 3 hours. Doctors, nurses, him. They all had questions. I didn't want to talk to them. I had my own questions, right? Am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in life to deserve this? How am I supposed to be a husband and a father? Like, and then you get to the point where you're just like, why didn't I die? There's a lot of self-loathing, a lot of like, what am I going to do? Like, I have no hands. I have no, feet. I don't, what am I going to, like, and it's like a big question. Like, how is this at all better? And he finally chimed in, like, I got to call you got to call your wife and your parents. I called my wife, and when she answered, I didn't really say much. She was like, hey, what's up? I'm fired. Love you. I got to go. Because I wasn't ready for that conversation. I didn't want to have it. Called my parents, about the same conversation really, but my mom wished me happy birthday. My mom and dad stayed on the phone for a good bit. I kept just apologizing. I felt like I embarrassed myself and everybody around me, and I let everyone down because I got blown up and, things like that. So I had like a lot of guilt for that, and then let them go. And then I made it back to Walter Reed on the 17th of April. And when my wife came out to see me with my daughter on her hip, they stopped her because as they got me off the truck that from St. Andrew or from Andrews Air Force Base, they got me there and they took me off, and there was doctors and nurses surrounding me. And they stopped her and said, "Mrs. Mills, your husband's right leg ripped open on the ride over. The sutures actually split. We have to cut 2 inches off his right leg. We need you to sign this paperwork for us to do the surgery." And I chuckle now because they were like, "You're in charge of the medical care, so we need you to sign this paperwork." And she was, last time she saw me, I was 6'3" and 250 pounds. I was cutting up, but it's 250 pounds and like I could do anything. My first apartment, like I had buddies that would help me, but I was stubborn enough where I'd carried the washer and dryer, just bear hugged it. Each of them up the stairs, three flights of stairs to my apartment, and I'm the guy everybody calls on that, that if they need help, I'll help no matter what. But now I'm sitting here with no arms and legs thinking I got nothing left to offer her. But she's also looking at me going, "I don't know if I should sign this paper. What do I do?" So I had to yell through the doctors and nurses, like, "It's fine, just sign it." She was fainted actually. And she signed it. Then the next day she came in the room and we got our, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah, 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 out of the way. And I said, "Look, you don't got to do this. I appreciate you're here, but like, there's nothing I have left for you. And you probably should take everything we have, cars, any money saved up. But financially, whatever I have is yours as well. So whatever you and Chloe need forever will be there." But, a lot of pity and doubt what my future held, but also like self-loathing of like, I have nothing left for you and you don't have to be here. Over that, she didn't really pay any attention to it. She just kind of went, said, "No, we're going to get through this." And then I had the chance to start my 19-month recovery at Walter Reed.
Most people would have quit. 99.9% of people would have quit. For that person that's on the couch, for that person that's going through a tough day today because whatever, their boss yelled at them. What do you say?
I don't want people to think my story is just relating to military. I don't want people to think that they can't have a bad day because of the fact that I have no arms, no legs. That I want people to know that their biggest problem is their biggest problem, and they're real and they're relevant. But on top of that, with their biggest problem being their biggest problem, they need to understand that there's ways around it and through it and over it. And at the end of the day, they have to make the decision that they want to get better. But I want people to understand, like, yes, my story's terrible, right? And I have no arms and legs now and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like, their biggest problem's real and relevant. So I want to be relatable too about how I was able to get through it. And the truth is, at first, I didn't know what I was doing. My wife didn't leave me. My daughter was 6 months old. And I think I would probably be a different person if I didn't have my daughter, because she would come to my room and lay on my chest and play with my nose. And then I got strong enough where I could sit up and we would roll a ball back and forth. And then I got a chance to move out of the hospital, and me and her would play on the floor, at the apartment we lived in. And then we both learned how to walk together, which is kind of weird, right? Like, not a lot of people get to learn how to walk with their kids, but my daughter and I got to learn how to walk together. And in truth, my daughter's 13. We're best friends.
I don't tear up at like where somebody's hurt. I tear up when somebody's badass. You should be proud of yourself. Your family's obviously proud of you. You make everybody else look like a mortal human being.
And the thing is, with the 19 months of recovery, like I said, you kind of forget about the bad times, right? But my first time walking, I was so excited. My mom and dad and my in-laws were there, and Dad didn't get to go because my dad used to take night shift. And at the hospital, so he missed a lot of like the things I was doing, like because he would like stay in my hospital bed or stay in the room with me. But then the first time I walked, he had to go, like, he got so nervous when I got blown up. He got diverticulitis, and they had to like do emergency surgery and give him like a colostomy bag. They had to do a reversal the day I walked. So the next day I was like, "Dad, I'm gonna walk 5 laps today." I did 3 yesterday. I walked 5. Well, my body was not. No, I was so sore. My body locked up after a half a lap. I Charlie horse everywhere, and I fell over. And I was like, "I'm so sorry," because I can't walk. I can't do it. People got to realize, like, not every day is a success. Not every day is like going to be like a major win in the column. It's a step in the right direction, though. When I was at Walter Reed, figuring out what I was going to do, I was like, man, I can't serve my country no more. Like, I lost that chance. So what am I going to do? And we decided to start a nonprofit. We were just going to do like 5,000 donation from us. We did that after going on all these really cool trips, learning how to do things adaptively. Some people in Maine were like, "Hey, we could we could recreate that up here, bring families out. And I was like, that sounds awesome. So it's called the Travis Mills Project, and a different nonprofit is going to run it. But then it got to the point where this other nonprofit was only getting money earmarked for the Travis Mills Project. And they're like, we can't do this. We have a different mission. I'm not from Maine. My wife is. I'm literally sitting here going like, people just gave all this money. They probably think I stole it. So I was like, we're just going to go ahead and take it on, the project. And we'll call it the Travis Mills Foundation Veterans Retreat. And we decided to, after we brought some families out, it went so well, and we got all the funds raised. We bought a property and didn't know what we were doing. But now we have a gorgeous facility. We bring families out that have been through physical injury due to service and show them how to do things adaptively, like high-rise ropes course. We have people with wheelchairs doing this high-rise ropes course that Mike Rowe helped us build. But it's all about the family bonding, and it's all about understanding that they're not alone. There's other families out there like them, so we bring 8 families per week. And then I would go around, I'd speak, and people were like, hey, what about post-traumatic stress? I've never been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. I don't have any worries or fears when I fall asleep about things. I mean, I've had to shoot people. I've had to pick up body parts. It is what it is, right? I don't know why I'm able to adapt so well, but it doesn't bother me. And I'm not a psycho either. I should probably put that out there. I just, some people can just, I just say, look, that's part of the job. Or that's what I did at that point, and this is life. Well, they were always asking me to post-traumatic stress, and I said, well, I don't do anything personally, but you should partner with Warrior Path program or home-based program. There's 2 programs that I believe are really good. Non-clinical, just like train the trainer style. And then Warrior Path was expanding, and they're like, hey, we want to be able to partner with other, nonprofits and other facilities. And we became one of their partners. And now they're one of our programs we offer. And Warrior Path has expanded. It's about post-traumatic stress, but we call it post-traumatic growth. It's about understanding we call struggle. Let's learn how to struggle well. And the beauty is, it was for combat vets. Now it's for all vets. And after it's for all vets, now it's for all veterans and first responders. So nurses, paramedics, police officers, firefighters, they all can come. I'm just so, granted, my speaking is how I make my income, and I own a few businesses, but our facility is adaptive, barrier-free, and we're able to really showcase that you can go on after injury as a family and do things that are, outside of what some people think is possible.
You turned a tough situation that would break most into an amazing life, into an amazing, you probably do a ton of speeches, it sounds like, so you're probably inspiring a ton of folk.
I love it. And it's a lot of fun for me. Like that's, if I didn't like it, I guess I wouldn't do it, but I do enjoy it. I just decided to try my hand to some businesses. So I bought a marina with a buddy and a restaurant we started, and then the property next door to that. And then we just opened a brewery. So I love racking up debt. It's my favorite thing. The bank's like, I'll give you that loan. I'm like, I'll take that loan. And the craziest thing is when I say I own this stuff, really the bank owns it. And I pay more than it's worth to say it's mine. It's called interest, apparently. So it's wild stuff. And there's a drive inside of you that everyone, I believe, has to go out and do things that are hard and do things that are seemingly impossible to others. Like I'm sure a lot of the racers that you have get told by other family members and friends in their circle that's crazy. I would never be able to do that. And the truth is, just like you said with the arms and legs, like people won't be able to do that. Well, I hope people don't have to figure it out. But the humans are scrappy. They will do what they have to, to make it work. I just feel like I was given a chance to live through my injuries. My wonderful wife, who has been by my side, was there for me the whole time. And my daughter and my son, I want them to see that anything's possible.
Other folks that have been through incredible stress and somehow come out with a smile. If we internalize it, it changes our perspective. And then hopefully the shit we're dealing with, even though, like you said, whatever anybody's dealing with is real, it gives a new perspective. And, one of my sayings is it could always be worse.
And you can't really compare injuries, but I have the ability to put on my leg, walk to my car, start it up and drive my kids to school. Then I went to meet a guy that was my IRFA development director of my foundation, had a meeting with the executive director, came back here. And after I get off this phone call or this Zoom meeting, I have a personal trainer I'm working with. He's come over and we're going to work out, and I'm going to crush a workout because I'm muscular and I need to work on that. My wife is like all Peloton, all fit, and like just to show off, but she's inspired me that I need to do better. So even me, with all of the cool things I've been able to go through and create and be a part of, I still always do better.
Listen, anything I missed that you want to cover? Like, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, I appreciate what you do. And, I think you inspire people every day, and you give them the chance to go prove to themselves they're stronger and they're tougher and they're braver and they're more courageous than they ever thought they were. And I feel like that's what you give people. That's what the Spartan races are all about. Like, it's a team thing, but it's also you versus yourself and to show how good you are. The second thing I will say that you're right about perspective. I live life every day realizing that it could be worse. I have friends that make it back home, and people say, like, Travis, why'd you do all this stuff? Why? I'm like, because I can. Because I get the ability to. I get the chance to every day realize that I was blessed to make it through my injuries, not that I was cursed to have the injuries. And the next thing I tell people is, you can't always control your situation, but you can always control your attitude. Not for any reason about nonprofits. Like, I promise, it's not a pissing match. I'm grateful to still be here. And lastly, I'd love a share and a like and a follow. I do some really funny videos on my Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, but it's just at SSG Travis Mills. But if you want to find me for speaking or you want to come get involved with the foundation, it's actually found at Travis Mills, foundation.org or just travismills.org. But again, I'm just happy to be alive, thankful for the opportunity, and I don't let it hold me back because I get to do this.